Doom v Vamus v Vamos Epicureans. This is the Marvel Epic Collection Podcast one-shot edition. I'm your host, Nick Smith, and I'm joined by...
Stojr from Stojr Shelf. How's it going, Nick?
I'm doing well, particularly since we are participating in Kurtis Findlay's Epic Marvel Podcast Reading Club, and this one-shot is going to be our brief thoughts on today's issue, which is X Men number 115, Visions of Death. Alright, the X-Men defeat Sauron. I'm second-guessing myself again. It's Sauron, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I've said it in my head.
Yep.
I'm with
Okay.
you.
God, Lord of the Rings has messed me up here. Okay, the X-Men defeat Sauron and discover that he has actually been working with Kazar, the Lord of the Savage Land. Kazar and Sauron explain what had happened since we last saw either of them, and it seems that this may actually be setting up a way to wrap up Kazar's own book, which ended a year before this issue came out, roughly a year or so. So that may be what's going on here. Anyway, what has happened is the Petrified Man is taking over the Savage Land, and Kazar and Sauron are hoping to get the X-Men's help to stop him, but Cyclops insists that they have to return to Xavier first to ensure that Xavier is safe before they can come back to the Savage Land and help. Unfortunately, though, a mysterious storm seems to be blocking the X-Men's ability to leave, and that's where we leave off the issue. Alright, Stojr, what are your thoughts?
So I enjoy this issue. I think that for me, I like the Savage Land in small dosages. It's like, I like to visit the Savage Land, walk around outside the airport, and then leave. So as we start getting deeper into, the different characters in the Savage Land, or even into different tribes and all of these unique names, it's not my cup of tea. So while I don't think that the issue does anything bad for that, it's like, I'm not here to read a Kazar book per se. So, drop them in the Savage Land, have them fight some dinosaurs, get them out. I'm good with that. But no, I enjoyed this issue. The splash page, the double page spread on pages 2 and 3 is pretty good. If not as detailed as I usually like from Byrne, what I find that, and I think he does this in his Alpha Flight run. You can tell when he's maybe rushing through something, or he's cutting some corners, because the backgrounds are all solid color. So in here, like, the background's just kind of yellow. I mean, he's got the little bit of the river or stream or whatever that storm's fallen into. But the rest is just kind of one solid color, and he continues that on a couple other pages and panels. So little hints of like the Burn to come later, I guess. But whereas I want the pure, early stuff that's really detailed, because I really like that, and don't like as much the later stuff. You get some interesting dynamics of his powers, of Sauron's powers in here, and how it works, and how Cyclops has some previous experience with it and kind of knows what bad things can happen here, and this sort of Jekyll and Hyde dynamic, as well as the reveal of Kazar and Zabu, which I assume is the way you say it, is always the way I said it in my head, which is the coolest character, because it's just it's basically He-Man and his cat. So and I was a big He-Man fan when I was 3 or 4 years old, apparently. So what were your thoughts?
Well, I'm gonna add real quick. Apparently, I've got some goof up in my streaming software. I couldn't get the comic that double page spread up as you were asking. Something's not connected, so sorry about that. Hopefully, we'll get that fixed next time. I enjoyed this one. It felt short, mostly because it was a flashback to set up events happening in the Savage Land. Like I said, it feels to me like this is an attempt to wrap up Kazar's book, but I haven't read any of those stories yet. I would love to read those stories, because, there's kind of a He-Man feeling to it. Plus, it's just different. We don't really have a whole lot of things that are outside the superheroes in Marvel books, at least not anymore. So I think that would be fun. I would love to get a Kazar Epic collection at some point. I don't know, Stojr, with your experience, is there like an Omni with Kazar in it, or anything else that you're aware of?
So I'm not aware if there's an Omni or not, but there is a some thick trades. I don't know if there was ever an Epic collection, but the '90s series, by, was it Adam Kubert, Andy Kubert, who, by the way, who's obviously, if those who don't know, Adam and Andy Kubert, sons of Joe Kubert, legendary artists in the industry, also have a school for artists that still goes to this day. Their actual daughter, I think she does some Scooby-Doo comics,
Hmm.
as well as other things, like maybe Teen Titans and stuff like that. I forget what, but she's on like TikTok or something like that. So it's not their daughter; it's one of their nieces and one of their daughters. I forget which, but so the granddaughter of Joe Kubert. Anyway, so yeah, so this is the extent of my Savage Land collection. I'm not sure if there's Omnis. The other place where they show up, I'm not gonna be able to reach it right now without getting up, but is New Avengers, the very first volume
Hmm.
of New Avengers, the Bendis era of the Avengers. They kind of get dropped in the Savage Land as part of their second story, which is very similar to a lot of this stuff.
Hmm.
And which always makes me think of a great Spider-Man line, but I don't think he's actually talking to Sauron. It's either Sauron or the other guy that can change people into dinosaurs.
Oh,
Um,
Stegron.
I think it's Stegron,
Stegron.
right? And Spider-Man says to Stegron, with all this knowledge, you could be out there curing cancer. And he goes, I don't want to cure cancer. I want to change people into dinosaurs. And while that's not in this issue, I always think about it whenever we're in the Savage Land and dealing with Sauron.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed, I enjoy the Savage Land stuff. I've been on a dinosaur kick lately, which I think I've mentioned before. I still have to read that, that trade paperback that I showed the other day that had a bunch of the Cadillacs and dinosaurs, origin thing. I would love to see more of the X-Men just kicking some dinosaur butt. I think in the previous issue we had Wolverine fighting a theropod of some sort, like a T-Rex or whatever it was. I would love more Kazar if we could get some Kazar epics. One other thing I noticed, and again, my comic screen isn't working, so I can't pop this up. In the credits, Chris Claremont and John Byrne call themselves Rebelacian Raconteurs. And I saw that and I was like, I gotta look that up. I have no idea what they're referring to. So Rabelaisian, this refers to the French satirist Francois Rabelais, who's from the early 16th century in France. He became known for grotesque, over-the-top caricatures. He was actually a Catholic priest and a humanist, but he managed to piss off both the Catholic Church and the Calvinists in France and Geneva and so forth. So I'm guessing Rabelais' works were probably a lot of good fun if he's pissing off that many people in the 16th century. So anyway, I thought that was kind of weird and interesting. Had to take a look into that. But yeah, fun issue.
And according to ChatGPT slash this website called the Gentleman of Leisure, that was all done by Rick Parker, the letterer. So he
Oh,
had
really?
done those unique things, and there's also a unique. The Uncanny has a unique font on the cover of this issue, which is slightly different than the others. It's a little narrower,
Mm,
and I don't think they use that one again. I think they just kind of experiment and play around with it.
mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Good to know. I'm always unsure as to where the where the fun names, the fun titles get, because in the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby era, you sure feels like Stan, and yet they're constantly harping on the letterers, right? Like Artie Simek is always the butt of the jokes and so forth, and if it's the actual letter doing that, I appreciate that fun little sense of humor. But anyway, that's for different books, not this one. All right. Any other final thoughts there, Stoger?
No, I mean, fun issue, moving us forward to I guess the final battle in the Savage Land. I guess it's a little interesting that I think it's in this issue. Again, hopefully not mixing them together. That they're kind of like, hey, we need your help, X-Men, and the X-Men are kind of like, nah, we got to go. And we'll see that sort of change at the beginning of the next issue, I think. But they're just like, nah, you're on your own here. Like we got other stuff to do.
Yeah, gets to that babying of Professor X that you were talking about in a previous episode, right? It's like, oh, he's
Yeah.
got to take care of Professor X for some reason. All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. If you've enjoyed our thoughts, follow us on YouTube. You can follow the audio podcast as well. We're going to be doing these one-shots every day, and then once a month, we'll go through a full other epic that is not X-Men. But until then, we'll see you again tomorrow.
Have a good one.